Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Thursday he intends to take military control of all of Gaza. The decision comes despite intensifying criticism at home and abroad over the devastating war in the Palestinian enclave.
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it.
In an interview with Fox News, Netanyahu said that Israel wanted to hand over the territory to Arab forces that would govern it. He did not elaborate on the governance arrangements or which Arab countries would be involved. The decision comes after efforts to reach a ceasefire and a release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas collapsed. Hamas in a statement called Netanyahu's comments, quote, a blatant coup against the negotiation process. The Hostages Families Forum, which represents captives held in Gaza, urged Military Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir to oppose widening the war and pressed the government to accept a ceasefire deal that would end the war and free the remaining hostages. Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid said he'd told Netanyahu occupying Gaza was a very bad idea, operationally, morally, and economically. But Netanyahu's government has insisted on total victory over Hamas, which ignited the war when it staged a deadly October 2023 attack on Israel from Gaza. Hamas fighters killed about 1,200 people and took 251 hostages back to Gaza, according to Israeli tallies. The Gaza Health Ministry says more than 61,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israel's assault on Gaza. Most of Gaza's population of about 2 million has been displaced multiple times over the past 22 months, and aid groups are warning that the enclave's residents are on the verge of famine. The Israeli military says that after almost 2 years of war, it controls about 75% of the enclave. Total control of the territory would reverse a 2005 decision by Israel, by which it withdrew Israeli citizens and soldiers from Gaza, while retaining control over its borders, airspace, water supply, and electricity. Right-wing parties in Israel blame that withdrawal decision for the militant Palestinian group Hamas gaining power there in a 2006 election.
First of all, do you support this decision by Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, I think that's not a matter of supporting. The point is that we don't have any other option. We were trying for so many months to reach a deal with the Hamas that would allow the hostages to be released and the war to come to an end. But this went nowhere. Hamas left the negotiations, and we were left only with the option of full taking over of the territory from Hamas' hands, and hoping that once we do that, Hamas will come to their senses and resume the negotiations and will be ready to release the hostages.
Okay, so you might not have to do it. Is that what you're saying? You might not have to do it. Perhaps this is a negotiation tactic, a threat, and then Hamas will fold?
Not a negotiation tactic. I mean, if the negotiations are not going to be resumed, that the Hamas sticks to its stubborn position, we should probably have to go all the way and remove it from power by force. But we hope that they will decide to change their policy and show some readiness to release the hostages in a deal.
So if if Hamas, and I'm not sure that they will do this given that where we are, but if they were to decide, okay, let's have the negotiations back on, then you wouldn't go a full military occupation.
Yes, I think the Prime Minister was clear about it today.
Yeah.
He said at any given time, Hamas has the option of going back to negotiations, release the hostages, and we should stop the operation.
How much, I'm just curious here, how much of the Gaza Strip does Israel already control militarily? Because I would have thought it would be quite substantial.
Well, it's substantial when you look at it as percentage of the territory of the Gaza Strip. We control something like 70 to 75% of the territory. but we don't control any of the people that live in Gaza. They're all in the 25% that we don't control, and it's under Hamas control. So Hamas still controls almost all of the population.
How
That allows it to use the incoming humanitarian aid to confiscate it and sell it in order to finance its activities. And one of the best things that can happen to the population of Gaza is that if we manage to finish and take over all the territory under our control, so the population will be able to really get the aid that is trying to reach it.
The problem is the tunnels. I mean, as you know, it's booby-trapped. It's everything. It's where the hostages are at the moment. You don't know how many fighters are in them. If you were to move towards full military control of the Gaza Strip, how many more months would that potentially add to the war?
We're talking about something between 2 to 5 months. That's very difficult to know in advance exactly, but it's something between 2 to 5 months that it will take us to take over the territory, the entire territory, and start cleaning it from the remaining tunnels. It's going to take time.
And
there's no way to know for sure.
And the UN has warned of catastrophic consequences. I mean, would there be a serious uptick in the loss of civilian life? Would hundreds of thousands of more Gazans be displaced?
And just on the contrary, yes, some of them will be displaced and move away from harm's way, so that we should be able to take military operations. But once we finish the military operations, they will be able to come back and enjoy much better life.
Okay.
Because as I said, the problem today is the distribution of the humanitarian aid that Hamas prevents. And once Hamas is out of power, then the aid is going to reach them.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just trying to squeeze as many questions in the short time frame that we've got. I mean, the final question I have, and I'm not sure that the Prime Minister elaborated on this point, but he mentioned that once control was reached, or once he was satisfied with things, then an Arab army would take control. Who would that be? What Arab army?
No, I don't think he spoke about an Arab army. He said the Arabs will be able to take control, and not necessarily with an army. Maybe with some police force, but not with an army.
But who would control that?
The responsibility for the security, as far as it concerns us, the possibility of terror re-emerging in Gaza, is something that the IDF will have to deal with for the foreseeable future.
So, any idea what country would control that army, though, if it is an Arab army?
It's not an army. It's a political activity and maybe some police force, not an army. And we are talking about the United Arab Emirates, the Bahrainis, and the Saudis maybe, and some other countries, moderate Arab countries, can participate in this effort. And we expect that Gazans themselves will be taking part in this effort to have the self-rule that would enable them to live next to Israel and not try to kill Israelis and massacre them as they did on the 7th of October. Okay.
It's interesting. Yossi, really appreciate your time this morning, your evening, your time. Thank you so much. We'll chat again soon.